Before anything else, I would like to give my sincerest gratitude to Beyond Books Publication for this opportunity to share my knowledge and expertise, especially when it comes to lesson strategies and delivery approaches in the new normal, which is up to being the topic of my discussion in this international conference on technology, language, education, and culture, kung Global Leaders and Education's Awards and Demonstration Teaching. Before anything else, before we dive with my discussion, let me present to you first a picture. Now, what can you see in the picture? I want you to write or to put your answers in the comment section or in the chat box to see if what can you infer from the picture presented in your screen. Alright, if the answer to that, if your answer to the picture is you have seen that there is a child very eager to learn amidst of the situation that he is encountering, then that is a good answer. Because as we can see in the picture, we are seeing resiliency. We are seeing that regardless of the situation, there are ways for us to do something if we indeed really like it. So based on the picture, the kid shows interest on the on the activity that he is doing upon answering the module or the book that is up maybe in their class or for the sake of presenting it on for their for his or her teacher. So that only goes to show that the kid shows interest regardless of the situation he is experiencing. So that is one of the key concepts that we should also embody as teachers and also to the students that are listening in my talk. It is necessary for us because we cannot deny the fact the pandemic we are experiencing today, there are drastic changes that happen to us, and one of which is the educational system. Because of that, let me present to you my topic, which is lesson strategies and delivery approaches in the new normal. Regardless of the situation, we should all have our means of giving our best practices, our best approaches, so that our learners, regardless of the situation, whether it be from a distance, our learners will still be learning. Now, you can see in the Philippine Professional Standards of teachers, since I'm teaching in the Philippines, that is what we call the Bible of teachers that we are using. We opt to put one of the bases and criteria for a teacher should be 21st century teacher. Now, teacher plays a key role in training students to develop the skills for the 21st century, and that includes our learners. We cannot deny the fact that as our era evolve, that also includes our learners. They are also belonging on the 21st century learners, so that is why teachers should also be able to adapt with these various changes that includes our learners. The teacher is a guide. So since before, if we are talking about the approach, we have teacher-centered before, since the teacher is the one talking. But right now, in our 21st century era, where 21st century teachers are being emphasized, the teacher should be a guide who supports student development from early childhood and throughout the learning process for children, youth, and adults. So the teacher should be the one to facilitate the learning, should guide, and should support the student upon discovering what is intended for the learners to learn and discover. So here are some traits of a 21st century teacher. Number one is learner-centered. So just like what I said earlier, the 21st century teacher focuses now on the student as the center of the teaching learning process. Next is guide of learner procedures. So the teacher should be facilitator, a guide. Next is techie and willing to be one. So we cannot deny the fact that with the advent of technology, it is also incorporated and integrated in the teaching learning process. So teachers as we are, we should also be knowledgeable of these different tools so that we can also integrate this and we can use this in our teaching process. It may be different. We all know that our learners are Our 21st century learners, they are also engaged in the different technologies. So teachers should also be knowledgeable of this, because teachers should be one step ahead to the learners, because it is different. It is difficult if we see our learners better compared to us teachers delivering the lessons and the technologies that we are using. We're having difficulty. Our learners are better, then that is a different story. That is difficult in our part. So teachers should be knowledgeable of these different tools so that we can also emphasize engagement of these different learners. All right, global. Not, okay, global and also globally competent. Globally competent teachers that creates globally competent learners. Open to learning. Okay, teachers as we should always be open for new ideas and new things for us to improve ourselves as a teacher. We should connect. We should have network of opportunities for our co-teachers. We should share our ideas. This is one of those things in which we can also share the things that we have learned also to the teachers, and we can connect with various people all around the world. Next is flexible, and last is innovators. So we should all be able to adapt with the different changes you experience. And because of that, we can also create different innovations to achieve the learning goals that we should be giving to our learners. Because in every situation that we have, we cannot deny the fact that we have different types of learners in a different geographic area. So upon delivery of those different lessons, we should emphasize that teachers as well, we should create different approaches and innovations depending on the needs of our learners for us to meet the different characteristics of our learners as well. Now, a teacher needs to be able to formulate, construct, arrange, modify, and make sense of information so that it can be understood as knowledge. We are teachers that gives lesson to our learners in a way that learners will be able to understand it. So we should give our learners knowledge, approaches, strategies, and techniques that regardless of how difficult a topic is, our learners will be engaged, will be entertained, and they will also be participating. And because of that, they will show interest, and that interest will lead them to learning new ideas. Okay, each 21st century skill is broken into three categories. Take note of this. Number one is learning skills. Number two is literacy skills. Number three is life skills. So as you can see in the presentation, the learning skills encompasses the different critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. On the other hand, when we talk about literacy skills, that includes information, media, and technology, which in fact we all know that our learners, or most of our learners, are already knowledgeable of this. And life skills, that includes flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social. So reaching all of this, we can also emphasize, we can also achieve holistic learners. So this is the end goal of our team, of us teachers, to emphasize and to give these different skills to our learners. As much as possible with the different activities, with the different lessons that we give, different learning resources that we also give to our learners, we will be able to meet these different skills. So the new normal education. Now here in the Philippines, we have what we call DepEd Learning Continuity Plan, in which we opt to continue our educational process by introducing different modalities. And these modalities are already used since time immemorial. It was just reiterated and emphasized to cater the situation that we have today. And we have what we call the blended learning. So process flow of school-based modular distance learning, we are making use of modules as a specific learning material for our learners amidst the pandemic we can distribute this different tool for them to read and for them to answer the different questions presented in this module. The learning continuity plan of DepEd, Department of Education, is not one size fits all. So we know that the learners are different from each other. We have multiple intelligence. We have different types of learners. So it is safe to say that we should have an approach that will cater not that will cater our learners. But we cannot deny the fact that not all our learners are the same. So we should also have different initiatives and approaches so that we can meet our learners. Okay, so here are the different learning modalities. We have distance learning, online, we have distance learning offline. We have distance learning with the use of television-based and radio-based plus printed modules. In the Department of Education, specifically the central office, and the different divisions in the Philippines also emphasizes and also have initiatives, some of which we are conducting different television-based approach in which teachers become anchors, become television personalities in which we present our lessons in a creative way. We also have radio-based in which we also present the topics and presented through the use of radio. We have also distance learning through printed modules. And we have also making use of homeschooling in which we tap also our stakeholders, and one of which are the parents of our learners. We make sure as well that they also participate and help their learners, especially in times of difficulties. So there is no such thing as best teaching method. At the end of the day, as teachers, it is our strategies and approach to make use of the different things that we have learned. And I know our learners are different in terms of their characteristics, of their knowledge, of their profile, of their geographic profile as well. Then as teachers, it is our role to look for different approach and strategies that will cater these different learners of ours. So I hope that the topic that I've discussed have served its purpose. I hope that you are all enlightened, you have learned something, and I hope that you will be applying this in your next teaching endeavor. All right, thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have learned something. If you have learned something, can you please type yes or thumbs up, use the emoji. Thank you so much and have a good day. God bless everyone.